Do you drive a lot for your job? You need to keep track of your mileage. How many miles do you drive? Which days? Why? It can save you money. If you drive for work, you can deduct that money you spend on your taxes once a year. What business driving can be deducted? Good question. Most self-employed people, you are your own boss. You have a company. You are self-employed. Most self-employed people who use their vehicles, their car, their truck, their motorcycle, for work purposes can deduct mileage from their total income. Your income is how much money you make in 1 year. You can deduct the mileage from your total income when they file their taxes every year. However, no taxpayer can deduct mileage for driving to and from work. So I usually drive to work and from work, but I cannot deduct that from my taxes. Remember, deduct is like subtract, take away. In addition to tracking the number of miles you drive in a year, you also need to document the purpose of your business travel. The purpose, the reason, why are you driving? You can deduct miles for driving from one work location to another, such as from one work site to another, if you're building two different buildings. If you're visiting customers, and that driving you can count. Going to a business meeting that is away from your workplace, if the business meeting is at Starbucks or another company. Or traveling to a temporary workplace. Temporary is maybe your office is in a different place for a short time. That's temporary, short time. You may also be able to deduct mileage for job-related trips, such as picking up supplies. So you must go to Home Depot or Office Depot for work. And for business entertainment, you are taking your client to lunch to talk about business, but driving to the restaurant, you can deduct. And probably the money you spend on lunch, you can deduct. Check the current IRS rules. The IRS is the Internal Revenue Service. This is the government agency that collects the taxes, the IRS. So check the rules change sometimes, or ask a tax accountant to make sure that your deductions are accurate and allowed, that they're okay. We can talk about standard mileage deduction versus actual expenses. What does this mean? To deduct standard miles, just the number of miles you're driving, multiply the number of business miles by the IRS mileage rate. You can also deduct tolls, like if you cross a bridge and you have to pay money to cross the bridge, a toll, or parking fees, only if they are related to business travel. You can deduct your expenses during 1 year, Expenses, these are all the business costs, all the money you spend related to vehicle depreciation. So your car is less valuable every year. Maybe you paid $16,000 for your car, but next year it is worth $12,000. That's depreciation. The tires get old, depreciation. So you can deduct that cost to fix tires, license registration fees to license your car or truck, lease and insurance payments, the money you insure your car with, gas you can deduct, repairs, fixing your car, tolls, like I said, and other expenses, money you spend are expenses. If you are going to deduct all these expenses, you must keep all receipts, all the little papers, all the receipts that show the money you spent, that show your expenses related to business. You can use a mileage log to track both business and personal miles in order to show what percentage of your vehicle use is related to work. So if you use one car, sometimes for business, sometimes for personal, yourself, your family, you have to keep a log. Let me show you a picture of a mileage log. So maybe it looks like this. It's a spreadsheet, or maybe just a simple list of columns and tables. This is one you can buy on Amazon. Looks like. So the year of your car, the make, the model of your car, the date and the time you leave. What's your odometer number, the mileage number in your car at the start of your trip and at the end? So what's the total mileage you drove? What's the destination? Where did you drive to? And any other notes. So if it's a business destination or a personal destination, you need to make this clear. Maybe here you write business and here you write personal. And when you file taxes, then you have to only deduct the business travel. This is called a log book. It's a log. It's a list in columns like this. You can buy one, you can make one, just buy a notebook and use that. There are many kinds of log books. So you can use a mileage log to track both business and personal miles in order to show what percentage of your vehicle use is related to work. The mileage log has to include details like date, start and end destination, like I showed you, purpose, the reason you're driving, how many months. Again, check with the IRS or your tax preparer to get the most accurate and current rules for tax deductions each year. You can also check the current rate here. So the rate, right, to deduct the miles, you multiply the number of business miles by the IRS mileage rate. So let's click here and click here, and you can see here's the standard mileage rates, and this is the IRS website. So in the year 2021, for businesses, you'll deduct 56 cents per mile. And in 2020, it was 57.5. So it went down a little bit. 2018 was lower. It's just kind of interesting to see. And then these are the rules. If you're deducting for charity, that means it's a nonprofit, like volunteer organization, or for medical supplies, they have different rules. Interesting. Okay, so some tips for keeping track of your miles. Keeping track of mileage is important. To do this right, calculate your mileage every day. Do the math every day. This is very important. Make this a daily habit. You just automatically do it every day. You don't think about it. You just do it so that you don't forget anything. You have to keep very specific records to show the IRS. Use maps as a backup. Humans, people, make mistakes, and mileage apps can have their own problems. There are some great mileage apps. I'll show you some. If you use your vehicle, your car, your truck, for business and forget or lose the mileage information, look up the route with an online map. So put your starting address and the ending address, and the map will show you how many miles. Okay, you can estimate the miles traveled and then print a copy of the map with the directions and the miles for documentation. So you can keep this and show it to the IRS. Hold on to your mileage records. Keep them a long time. The IRS recommends holding on to mileage logs and other supporting documentation for at least 3 years. Sometime in 3 years, the IRS might audit you and call you or send a letter and say, we are checking your tax forms. Are they correct? We need to see all your papers for your mileage, your income, your expenses. Show us all the papers. So make sure you don't lose your records. Think about keeping digital versions, something typed on a Google Doc. Keep it in a safe place, maybe online in Google Drive. Also, keep a paper log in your car. A paper copy of your mileage log can be a backup if technology fails. Sometimes your phone dies, your computer dies, but you have the paper log in your car. Or if you think of a note during your trip that you want to add to a digital log later, that little note section, and you remember it while you're driving, and you can stop and write your note on the paper. You can find free mileage logs online. Just do a Google search for free mileage log template. A template is like an example. Free mileage log template. Oops. Mileage log template. Okay. And then these are ads. Be careful about ads. I don't like to look at ads. I don't trust them. Here are some images, but I go down here. Here's one with Office, Microsoft Office. Or this is one you can print. You can download and print. Here's another one. Here are 25 different ones. You can go find many, many, many. Okay, here's one I looked at before. And you can choose this one or this one. And just click here, open as a PDF, and print. So you can find lots of free ones online. No matter how you track your business miles or store your records, be careful and correct so you don't miss out on deductions and the full reimbursement amount. Reimbursement. This is the money that you get back from the IRS. So if you miss a deduction, you don't get all your money back. The government will keep it. So keep track of your miles and deductions. There are some apps for your phone. Usually they are not free, the good ones especially. So using a mileage app has pros and cons, good things and bad things, pros and cons. Several apps for your phone or computer, such as Mile IQ, QuickBooks, Self-Employed, File, and TripLog, they all track mileage. These apps can track miles automatically using GPS. So you're taking your phone, and in the app, it knows where you are and how many miles you are going. So drivers can simply let the app identify routes and add up miles. Some apps also calculate other expenses like gas, insurance, car repair, new tires, right? You can put other expenses in there and allow you to group the type of trip so you can separate personal and business miles, group them. This list of expenses was business. This list of expenses was personal. So you can separate those in some apps. That's helpful. However, these easy tools cost money. They can also use a lot of storage space on your phone and wear down the battery. Before you choose to pay for an online mileage app, read through user reviews to get an idea of how well they work and if they're worth it. So, for example, if I'm looking in the Google Play Store in my phone and I'm looking for, okay, let's just go to the Google Play here. Let's say that I'm looking for a mileage app, mileage tracker. I saw that. Oh, they do one for work, one for walking. They have free ones. Let's look at free. Okay, so different kinds of mileage tracker. I look at how many stars. If it has, like this one has a good number of stars, TripLog. That was in the article too. If it's free, then they might charge if you want to do a little more, a little extra. But click on this and you can read the user reviews. So here's the total number of stars. Sometimes I can click here. You can't click here, but when you scroll down, you can read, oh, this guy gave it 1 star just recently, March 6th, a couple days ago. As a paid subscriber, so he pays money, he gets something extra. I have lost yesterday and today's mileage log due to app error of not working. So it didn't work and he lost 2 days of mileage. This is why a paper backup is a good idea. As an independent contractor, that is list money and wasted time. I think he wanted to say lost money. If I could give negative stars, I would. Oh, and then they reply here. Ooh, another 1 star. New version is worthless, terrible. Okay, well, February, he loved it. Also in February, he hated it. Let's read all reviews because overall, this has good reviews. Just recently, lots of bad ones. So you can look down and see, Some people love it. Many people love it. Just recently, there have been some bad ones. So it's not perfect. These are not perfect. So those are mileage apps. So read through the user reviews, get an idea, talk to your friends. Maybe you know somebody who used one, but whatever you do, you want to track your mileage, especially if you work for yourself.